You're strapped to your parachutes.
Hey, where's yours?
Hey everybody, did you miss me? I'm pretty sure a large majority of you have. In case you all are probably wondering where the hell I've been for the past month, long story short, I've been having a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, so I don't want to get into too much details. But what y'all need to know is I'm trying to set up something of a consistent schedule. I mean, what I got going on in my personal life with my work life and what I'll be doing from now on this channel. So I hope you all understand that, and if you do, I deeply appreciate that. So now that I got that out of the way, let's get on with the review. The Flash is directed by Andy Muschietti, who previously directed It Chapters 1 and 2. And in this film, Barry Allen, aka The Flash, uses his speed to travel back in time to prevent his mother's death. But his actions have very catastrophic consequences, as he arrives in a timeline without metahumans. General Zod is about to invade Earth, so in order to stop this invasion, he seeks help from a different version of himself, an older Batman, and Supergirl, to defeat Zod and eventually reset the timeline. Like most people, I was very intrigued to see this film, despite all the delays and production issues that this film had, mostly due to COVID. But my anticipation kind of weighed down after hearing numerous reports about Ezra Miller, because they have gotten into serious trouble with the law. But despite all of my issues with that, I do believe that Ezra Miller, for the most part, is phenomenal as Barry Allen, aka The Flash. What they do in this film as both versions of this character, with the Barry that we've gotten to know in the previous films in the DCEU, and the other version of Barry, who is very funny in many scenes. And that's one thing that I really like about this film, is that it is very funny. There was a few moments throughout the film that legit got me to laugh my ass off, and I heard a dozen chuckles in my theater. So yeah, this film is definitely funny, and if you're into comedic superhero films, I would definitely say give this one a watch. But outside of the film's comedic moments, Ezra Miller really nails the dramatic moments as well, and I think that he has a perfect balance in certain scenes when it comes to both the comedic moments and as well as the dramatic moments, and he really nails these scenes like a pro. The biggest selling point in this film for me, as well as many other people, is of course the return of Michael Keaton as Batman. Now, after hearing this announcement that they decided to bring back Michael Keaton as Batman for the Flash movie, I lost my mind, because Michael Keaton as Batman meant the world to me as a kid, because he was my most nostalgic Batman before Christian Bale. So it made me so happy to see this version of Batman again, and he gets to kick a lot of ass compared to what we've seen in his action sequences in the Tim Burton Batman films. I like that they give this Batman a lot more to do compared to the limitations that they had in 1989 and 1992 with Batman and Batman Returns. There are some moments and lines from Michael Keaton as Batman which are there just for fan service, but when it comes to fan service, I mean, I'm okay with it for the most part, but when it comes to these moments with Michael Keaton's Batman, I couldn't help but smile, really. And the composer for the film, Benjamin Wallfish, you can tell that he's having a lot of fun using the classic Danny Elfman theme for Batman, which I was that was just music to my ears. Sasha Calle as Supergirl, I also liked. I mean, she gets her moments to shine in certain moments in the film, But outside of a few action sequences, and one in particular where she fights General Zod, played again by Michael Shannon, plus on that, I mean, it was good to see Michael Shannon as Zod again. But when it comes to Supergirl in this film, I really wish that outside of the action scenes, I wish they'd given her a little bit more character development, which disappointed me. I'm very mixed on the visual effects in this film because there are moments where some of the CG holds up and there's moments where it just looks unfinished, which really bothered me. And when you see like CG, I mean, when you see like actors that are doubled in CG, it just, especially with, I mean, how bad that effect looks, it really stuck out like a sore thumb, and it got under my skin deeply. And I'm just like, some of it just didn't look finished in areas. I mean, because when you see like moments of like the Flash like using his speed and everything, and of course, I mean, there are some several moments. I mean, especially when it comes to him like running in the Speed Force, moments like that, those hold up. But when it comes to like certain moments, and if you see the film, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. When you see like certain characters doubled in CG, it just doesn't look finished, and if this didn't bother you, I mean, more power to you, but I'm pretty sure it'll bother like certain audience members, but it bothered me for sure. And since this is the first live action Flash film that we've gotten, I'm a little bit back and forth on them jumping into the famous Flashpoint storyline from the comics, which is one of my personal favorite comics ever. For the Flash, I mean, if you're going to give him his first solo film, I would have possibly gone with the Rebirth story arc instead of like jumping into Flashpoint. I mean, this is a total nitpick, but for what they were going with, how they approach the story in this film, I mean, it's adapted in certain areas very well. There are certain changes in the story, of course, but there are some moments where, I mean, how they handled the story, it worked for me. And sadly, this will probably be the last time we see Ben Affleck as Batman. And unfortunately, the last time we'll probably get to see Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman because of the whole James Gunn rebooting the DC Universe thing after this film. Even though technically Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 will, I mean, they're continuations of the DCEU before James Gunn's DCU will begin with Superman Legacy. I'm pretty sure, like, them removing, like, certain actors who portrayed these characters almost to near perfection pissed off a large majority of DC fans. And I'll admit I was a little heartbroken about this as well, especially with Henry Cavill, like, announcing that he wasn't playing Superman anymore. But, I mean, this is going to be it was going to be a hard pill to swallow for me, but because of, like, it's been a rocky road for the DCEU. I mean, there are installments in this franchise that I like, there are some that I love, and there's some that I just don't really like at all. But with James Gunn, getting involved in charge of DC films, the best way to, like, get things on track is to just start from scratch. And I think that is the best direction. And I am totally fine with that. I have faith in James Gunn. And I won't lie, even though I was pissed, I am curious to see what James Gunn's vision for DC will be like. And part of me is very excited about that because I love James Gunn. So, fingers crossed, it'll be great. There's also, like, several references to past DC media when it comes to a certain sequence, which I will not spoil. But the best I can say is, I mean, it just brought out tears of joy out of me. And the ending has an interesting cameo, to say the least. And if you see the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And Ezra Miller's reaction, I was laughing my ass off. And even though this is the end of an era, so to speak, for the DCEU, I mean, we have 2 more movies. I am curious to see what James Gunn will do. I have faith in his vision, so it's just a shame that, I mean, even though, I mean, this was, in my eyes, a good enough film, it still felt like, I mean, they were, like, on the track of making the DCEU an actual great cinematic universe. I mean, they were, like, on that track, finally. But then there's the whole James Gunn thing. So, even though part of me is pissed off about that, but still, James Gunn is James Gunn. I mean, he has a vision, and if he knows what he's doing, I'm going to trust that. So, yes. So, despite a few issues, I mean, I love the performances. I enjoy a large majority of the action, of the references to, like, past DC media in that one sequence. Just, I couldn't help but smile at that. The CG, I mean, some of it holds up, some of it looks dated in areas, but despite all that, I mean, this pretty much entertained me almost from start to finish. And I would definitely say check this out in the theater. I'm going to give The Flash a B+. So what did you think of The Flash? Let me know in the comments below. And guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Looking forward to doing more videos really soon. And if you want my thoughts on old or new films, of course, you know where to find me.